We know not what course other conferences may take, but as for the ASUN, give us Liberty and give us Lipscomb, the top two teams in the league, playing for a conference championship and a trip to the NCAA Tournament. Both of these teams were 14-2 in league play. They split the two regular season meetings, the road team winning each time, and the top two seeds in this ASUN tournament getting all the way to the championship game at Allen Arena in Nashville, the home of the Lipscomb Bisons. Moments ago, Lipscomb head coach Casey Alexander.
You were built for this moment. We've talked about it all year long. We've talked about staying on task, taking each game for what it's worth, all right? And you have excelled doing that at a really, really high level. Today is the exact same, all right? Just take it in, all right? Take in this moment. You were built for it. You were made for it, all right? You've got to go out there and perform, all right? But you're ready for that too, okay? Regardless of the circumstance, winning, losing, momentum doesn't make any difference. On to the next possession. Ready for the next moment, okay? Just being the best that you can be. You've got to go win the game. Your mentality is to go win the game. Go take it, okay? And have fun doing it.
It's getting loud here at Allen Arena in East Ruff alongside former Virginia standout Corey Alexander. A season ago, we saw Lipscomb go on the road in the ASUN Championship, beat Florida Gulf Coast. They went to the NCAA Tournament for the first time last year. It's pretty much the same team coming back. They profile as a giant killer, but to be a giant killer, you've got to win today.
Well, the difference is they get this game now on their home court. Casey Alexander told us that this is why he was brought to Lipscomb, in order to bring this community and this gift that they have today to have an opportunity to get to the big dance on their home court, and his team is looking forward to it.
They returned their top 6 scorers from last year, and if you're looking for star power in this game, how about 4 first-team all-conference selections?
And Caleb Homesley, who Richie McKay says is a flat-out pro. This young man is a tremendous perimeter player. And Scottie James, who he says empties his tank in between. Every media timeout leaves it all on the floor. Rob Marbury now for third straight year is a ASUN conference all selection, but this time back-to-back ASUN first-team members. And then you've got the Garrison Matthews, the ASUN Player of the Year, 3rd all-time leading scorer in ASUN history. A special, special performer for Lipscomb.
Starting lineups first for the home team, the Lipscomb Bisons. As Corey said, Matthews, the Conference Player of the Year. Marbury ranks in the top 10 in 6 different categories in the ASUN. And Kenny Cooper had a triple-double earlier in this tournament. For Richie McKay's Liberty Flames, James and Homesley, they are the stars. But don't sleep on Pacheco-Ortiz, Cuffey, and Cabell, all outstanding three-point shooters. Pacheco-Ortiz, the top three-point shooter in the league. Liberty seeking its 2nd straight NCAA tournament appearance and 2nd NCAA tournament appearance all time. Liberty in its 1st season in the ASUN after 27 years in the Big South, looking to get back to the dance for the first time since 2013. This is the biggest home game for Lipscomb at Allen Arena, which opened in 2001. They're expecting a record crowd. It's going to be loud. And this is how it should be, Corey. It's the top 2 teams in the conference playing for a spot in the NCAA tournament.
And you mentioned the top 2 teams in the conference, both finishing with identical 14-2 records in ASUN play, and both winning on each other's home court. So is home court really an advantage in this one? We will find out here this afternoon.
Opening tip controlled by Lipscomb, the Bisons and the Flames. Here is Kenny Cooper, the junior, now Matthews. Tempo will be so critical. Lipscomb will take the first good shot that's available. And Matthews tied up. They're going to call a foul. It's going to be on Lavelle Cabell, who got injured late in that semifinal win against North Florida, but playing today.
Well, the reason that's so big is because Cabell is actually, in Richie McKay's mind, the best perimeter defender that he has. Felt as though he should have been in consideration for the ASUN's Defensive Player of the Year, but playing very hungry right now in the ASUN tournament because he was not one of those selections, and, you know, really has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder coming into this game.
Richie McKay said he is Virginia good defensively and will use the name Virginia quite a bit because this Richie McKay Liberty team, they are in many ways, Corey, Virginia light. It's a pack line defense. They'll take their time on offense. Lipscomb is going to go quickly, and you're seeing a press now to try to speed up Liberty.
Well, and that's really where the difference between this game was when they actually visited here at Allen Arena. Liberty was able to win that game because they controlled the tempo. Casey Alexander does not want for that to happen on his home court here today.
Cabell down the lane. Offensive rebound, Scottie James. Tied up by Eli Pepper, and we get a jump ball call, and already tension starting to rise here in Nashville.
What's going to be interesting here is to see if the officials actually go look at the monitor on this. Pepper moved away as if he was hit by elbow, but does not react as such. So as you see James and Pepper going after the loose ball, not much contact. I appreciate the fact that the officials aren't going to look at that. I don't think there was much there, but only 2 seconds remaining on the shot clock, and no one from Liberty recognizing it. And you can tell already the Lipscomb environment, they are here looking to celebrate. They want to see their team get into the NCAA tournament. They had to watch on television a year ago as it happened in Fort Myers, but now they have a chance to see it up close and in person.
Rob Marbury now against Scottie James. This Liberty defense will make you work for a shot. Eli Pepper now. Michael Buckland lets it go. And James, a human tempest with a rebound. Scottie James, leading scorer and leading rebounder for Liberty. Began his career at Bradley.
When we talked with Casey Alexander, of course, the opposing coach of Scottie James, all he marveled about is the fact of how hard James played on every possession. And you see him get loose. Great screen and roll action between Homesley and James, the 2 first-team ASUN members hooking up to give the Flames the first bucket.
And Matthews has now drawn 2 fouls on Liberty, this one on Caleb Homesley.
And Scottie James, constant motion, doing a great job screen and roll action as you get opportunity to see James coming over to set the screen, but gives Homesley credit for recognizing where exactly James would be, and I'm sure these 2 guys will see them in pick and roll action a tremendous amount here this afternoon.
Matthews contested. And Pacheco-Ortiz lets the long rebound go out of bounds.
And Anish, of course, you and I had the opportunity to do the Lipscomb win last year at Florida Gulf Coast. And one of the things that Casey Alexander told us then and reiterated today, he doesn't run a lot of plays for Garrison Matthews. He just allows him to go out and be a basketball player. And, of course, you see Matthews is going to be very aggressive. That shot may have been a little bit forced, but, of course, it's a big moment for his senior stepping up here in the last game he will play on this court.
Marbury cleans up the miss. Matthews thought about it. Inside for Pepper through the contact. Eli Pepper, senior from Princeton, Kentucky, Lipscomb's all-time leading rebounder in the NCAA era. And Casey Alexander told him, Eli Pepper's got his, let's call it idiosyncrasies. As James gets the and one.
And Scottie James, who definitely has the size advantage over Marbury, maybe not height-wise, but you can tell the strong body allows him to gain position and finish through Marbury. And you mentioned how Marbury has lost the 40 pounds since his senior year of high school, now weighing about 210, 211 pounds. And he gives away some of that strength in the post going up against a guy like James, who's definitely going to continue to be aggressive. And Richie McKay will continue to feed James every opportunity they have in the post.
Marbury answers at the other end. James, who is Liberty's top scorer and rebounder, transferred from Bradley. His mom had taken a job as a professor at Liberty, and she encouraged her son to give the Flames a look. And it was Mom who sent clips to the coaching staff. They liked what they saw. James liked the campus. Mom's home cooking certainly helps, and it's been a perfect marriage and a godsend, according to Richie McKay. 2 on the shot clock, and James off to a ferocious start.
I can tell you right now, James is carving out position in the post versus Marbury, and that's going to be interesting to watch. Does Casey Alexander make the switch and put Eli Pepper or go to the bench in order to be able to guard James right now, because Marbury is struggling to keep James from getting that post position.
7 points, 3 rebounds for James already. Sets the screen for Pacheco-Ortiz. Entry pass to James.
And right now, when James catches the basketball, there are 10 eyes on him, which is going to open up opportunities along the perimeter for Liberty. They're going to have to knock down some shots.
That was Darius McGee misfiring. Buckland, step back. Back iron, rebound by McGee, who's got a 48-inch vertical despite standing 5'9". Yes, Corey, he can jump higher than I can.
Oh, he can jump over you, Anish. That wasn't even, that was never a question in my mind.
Cuffey whistled for the offensive foul. Already a frenetic start in Nashville. When we come back, last year Lipscomb enjoyed the thrill of victory, and it's Liberty trying to bounce back from the pangs of agony.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Hotels.com. You do you and get rewarded.
Last year, Liberty played in the Big South Championship, meeting Radford, and had their hearts broken by Carleek Jones, the game winner at the buzzer to send Radford to the NCAA Tournament. Liberty had to deal with that all offseason. Meanwhile, Lipscomb came out on fire in the ASUN Championship, 60 points in the first half against Florida Gulf Coast. They led by more than 30 at one point. The Eagles made a furious comeback. Lipscomb holding on to secure its first bid to the NCAA Tournament. Now trying to get back there. Lipscomb today is the favorite. They were the underdog last year, while Liberty, first year in the Atlantic Sun, but their style gives them an advantage. Nobody else plays a pack line defense in this conference.
When you got completely different styles of play, when you talk about these two teams, Lipscomb wants to get up and down the floor and shoot quickly. And, you know, I mean, again, it is not as though Liberty slows the basketball down offensively. They just make you work so hard when you have the basketball against that pack line defense. So it takes away a number of the possessions in the game. But we'll see whose style is able to win out. The last time these two teams played on this floor, Liberty's style of play won out. But Garrison Matthews up to the challenge and trying to get back to the NCAA tournament in front of his home fans.
Matthews, the leading scorer in the ASUN 3 years in a row.
In an elite company, has the opportunity to be one of just 3 players to average over 20 points per game 3 straight years nationally. Chris Clemens of Campbell, of course Mike Dahm of South Dakota State, and Matthews, the only 3 players with the opportunity to do that this season. And you're talking about high-level scorers, regardless as to what level they play.
Entry pass down low. And that is the redshirt freshman from Atlanta, ASUN Asajala.
And what was most important about that play, when Garrison Matthews caught the basketball on the perimeter, he didn't feel as though he had to force a shot. He could get the basketball back inside, and Asajala makes it pay off because of it with the bucket in the paint.
Mayo Baxter Bell, 6'5", power forward. He's played well in 2 games against Lipscomb this season, had a season-high 11 last time on this court.
And that's a tough matchup for Asajala on the perimeter. But Coach Alexander told us that when Baxter comes into the game, he was going to put a Sunderland in, and Sunderland doing a great job early, making his presence felt on the block.
Battle of the bigs the last few possessions. Baxter Bell backing down to Sudjula. Blocked. 10 to shoot. Cabell's three is not there. And we get a whistle down low. It's so loud you can't even hear the whistles. Foul on Gums.
And a Sunderland making his presence felt early in this game. An ASUN all-freshman team member getting the job done offensively and then coming up with a huge block. And honestly, when you look at the way that he has progressed after that redshirt freshman season, this is the reason, honestly, why Rob Marbury hasn't had the same year that we've been used to recognizing from him, because he isn't playing as many minutes, only averaging about 24 minutes a game, because Coach Alexander has to get a Sunderland on the floor. So when you look at both these guys, he has tremendous amount of talent in that front line.
Lipscomb has scored on 5 of its last 6 possessions. Matthews strong to the basket. And a loose ball comes to Liberty. Lavelle Cabell. 3 straight away, no good by Pacheco-Ortiz, who's shooting 48% from 3. That's top 10 nationally.
Well, I can tell you right now, I came over to Liberty's shoot-around early this morning, and they had an optional shoot-around, so there was very few guys in here getting up shots. But Pacheco-Ortiz got in a great workout. I was shocked to see him miss that one.
Moran comes up short. Another rebound for Scottie James. He's got 4.
Denise, you and I have the opportunity to do a lot of college basketball and see a lot of games. But when you put an NCAA automatic tournament bid on the line, the level of intensity just increases, and you can definitely feel that in the building.
No question. It is frenetic in here. It feels like a cauldron. As Sudjula picks up the foul. Something unusual, though, when these two meet up. We'll tell you about that when we come back. With Corey Alexander and Ish Schroff, we take a look at who is made of more. Brought to you by Guinness. And in the 2 regular season meetings, it's been the road team in Lynchburg on January 29th. Garrison Matthews, 5 threes, 22 points. Lipscomb rolling to a 20-point win. The Bisons shot 55% from the field. But in Nashville last month, it was Liberty behind Scottie James, who was 8 for 9 from the field. He had 17, 5 Flames in double figures. And Liberty pulled out the road win. We've highlighted the contrast in styles. Lipscomb, the highest scoring team in the Atlantic Sun. Liberty, the #1 scoring defense in the ASUN. And of course, star power. There's 5 players that made first team all conference. 4 are in this game.
And then in the first game, Lipscomb shot 55% at Liberty and shot 50% from 3. But in the second game here on their home court, they only shot 36.8%. and only 16.7% from three-point field goal range. So that was really Liberty controlling the tempo of that game, and that pack line defense kicking in for the Flames to allow them to even it up and eventually, of course, grab a share of the regular season title.
Moran's 3 not close. And we get a foul on the rebound. And they're going to get the freshman Jake Wolf.
Jake Wolf trying to get involved. Offensive rebound action coming in. And again, when you have an opportunity to check into a game of this magnitude, I'm sure the nerves are tremendous for a freshman like Wolf. But I like the fact that Casey Alexander, sticking with his rotation that he's played with all season long, not making this game any different and getting a full rotation.
Cuffey. And the rebound comes to Buckland. Michael Buckland, a junior from High Point, played on the same high school team as former Duke star Harry Giles and former Carolina star Theo Pinson. Pepper, the two-handed throwdown. He plays with more than a tinge of intensity. We saw him at shoot-around today, and the coaches afterwards played it off. He was a nervous wreck this morning, And Casey Alexander says, yeah, that's usual for big games.
And Casey Alexander also said his favorite player that he's ever coached, the one thing that he never has to question with Peppers is going to be effort. He's going to get 100% every time he touches the court.
Marbury backing down James, using the window for two. He's one of the best low-post scorers in this league.
And I'll tell you what, but he's matched up against the other one. You think he's one of the best he's playing against, and it's been a great battle between he and Scottie James early in this game.
Homesley can't finish. Caleb Homesley is Liberty's best player, but he struggled in the two games against Lipscomb. 5 of 16 from the field in both. Back down low to Marbury.
You're going out on a limb calling him their best player, especially the way that James is playing in this one.
Well, James has the numbers, but Homesley has been their top scorer in conference play. Does a little bit of everything. 5.5 rebounds. 6'6" guard.
Well, the ASUN definitely thinks a lot of both of them, as they're both members of the first team over this season. And Richie McKay thinks a lot of both of these guys as well.
Pacheco-Ortiz, his second field goal. Junior out of Puerto Rico.
And I like his poise and the way that he plays. Of course, when you're talking about a point guard, playing under control is going to be important, especially in a huge game like this on the road. And you see Pacheco-Ortiz definitely prepared for this moment.
Richie McKay, who spent 6 years with Tony Bennett at Virginia, said Pacheco-Ortiz is Liberty's version of London Parentes, the steady point guard for the Hoos as Marbury finishes down low.
I can tell you right now, Marbury is really having his way on the block. And we talked about how James started out dominating this game, but Marbury taking it personally. And you see the two of them matched up side by side. James definitely has a size advantage, but you would never know when Marbury catches it on the block.
Cuffey catch and shoot. Gets his own rebound. Now James. And we get a foul before the shot.
Well, this game has definitely been played in the paint, and both these teams tremendous and have a tremendous amount of talent getting to the rim. Peppers with the finish, and then Rob Marbury, the beautiful move, left-hand jump hook over James. And right now, Lipscomb started to flex his muscle in the paint. We know about their ability to shoot the basketball, but they've also got great interior presence. Lipscomb with a 12-8 advantage in the points in the paint early.
Last foul on Buckland, his second. Both of these teams have terrific depth. They both get 20-plus points on average from the bench.
And true to form, whenever Baxter Bell checks into the game, you're going to see a Sundala for Lipscomb.
Keenan Gums, the senior Division III transfer from Schreiner University in Kerrville, Texas. Gums had a big game in the semis, 14 points and 15 off the bench. Matthews no good, rebound by Liberty and Gums.
And outside of the first play of the game, and Matthews was able to knock down the three early, Liberty's done a very good job of keeping him under control. We can remember at this point of the game a year ago at Florida Gulf Coast, he probably already had 20 points.
Baxter Bell turns it over. Here comes Cooper. Able to regain control. Cooper follows his miss and then fouled on the second try. Lipscomb with a 2-point lead on Liberty. When we come back, Corey will chat with Liberty head coach Richie McKay. A trip to the NCAA Tournament on the line. Lipscomb leading Liberty by 2. 7:13 to go in what has been an intense first half. And Corey Alexander right now with Liberty head coach Richie McKay.
Coach McKay, the second straight year for your program in a conference tournament championship. What does this mean for the Liberty University?
I think it's great. I think for us, it's the culmination of being not outcome based, but instead just trying to build into the process. And our guys have owned that. We have a special group, and great leadership at our university, so it's been a blessing to be on the stage.
And you guys were able to control the pace when you visited here earlier in February. What do you feel about the pace of this game thus far?
We're not defending the way we need to, but we've got a couple of guys that are playing a little bit like you when you used to play, just getting their offense on. So maybe we can change that.
I got that from you, by the way. Back to you, Anish.
Well, that's a win for Corey tonight. Somebody stroked his ego. Pacheco-Ortiz. It went off of Asujula. 6 to shoot. Eli Pepper checks back in, and Matt Rose to the bench. Scottie James into the game for Liberty. Baxter Bell and Pacheco-Ortiz to the bench. Homesley does not get the bounce. Cooper another rebound. And Matthews fouled on the drive. Second foul on Gums. How much did you have to bribe Richie McKay for the compliment?
Well, you know, I explained to you earlier our pickup games we used to have back in the day. So, you know, Coach McKay knows my game, we'll say the least. But I can tell you right now, very similar to Tony Bennett, Richie McKay does a great job coaching defense. Neither one of them actually played it as players. So they talk about me. But right now, give Lipscomb credit for what they've been able to do offensively against this great Liberty defense.
Five-point lead, the largest of the half for Lipscomb, and the rebound to Fleming. Andrew Fleming, third stop, began his career at Iowa, a redshirt season at Chattanooga before coming over to Lipscomb. Cooper hits from the outside. Kenny Cooper, junior from right here in Nashville.
And Kenny Cooper now made a three-pointer in 12 straight games after making only one three-pointer early in the season over about a stretch of 12 games. So when you look at Kenny Cooper, has really improved his game shooting the basketball. But he may have been the most valuable member of Lipscomb last year in their conference championship game, as he makes another great play attacking the rim, because he had 9 assists and 0 turnovers versus the pressure from Florida Gulf Coast in the first half of that game. They struggled when he had to go off the floor in foul trouble in the second half, although they were able to hang on and make it to the NCAA tournament.
Homesley down the lane, gets it to go. And remember, last year, Cooper wasn't even supposed to be the starting point guard. It was supposed to be Nate Moran, who missed the season with a hip injury. And they're letting him play. 8-point lead for the Bisons. And that is their team name, not the Bison, plural, Bisons.
And we're seeing Homesley with the basketball in his hands, but beautiful hands by the big fella.
You wanted to see the dunk. He chose finesse.
I don't think he chose finesse. I think finesse chose him. The legs were not going to allow the big fella to dunk that.
Pepper. It comes to Homesley. Into the corner, McGee lets it fly. And the rebound by Matthews.
And normally you would see coaches yelling, slow it down, slow it down. Not Casey Alexander. He will allow his guys to get up and down the floor. I'm not sure he was happy about that shot from Fleming, but you see Richie McKay now trying to get a grasp on his team as the action gets a little bit hectic.
Asujula pokes it loose. Here comes Cooper. McGee on his tail. McGee swats it away. The 5'9" Darius McGee.
But McGee showing off that vertical leap you were talking about earlier, showing his athleticism. But give Asujula a tremendous amount of credit for the ability he's shown to guard, screen, and rolls and really defend perimeter players. But looking for a sub on that position, not even able to get over and contest the shot at the basket. Great action from Liberty to get a much-needed bucket on that possession.
Elijah Covey, the sophomore from West Virginia. Pepper. And is going to be called for an offensive foul.
As a guard, Anish, you always had to be aware of the bigs with great hands. Asungela is showing off his ability to take the basketball away from guards. Picking the pocket of Homesley and getting out on the fast break. The big fella, is he gonna? Oh no, that's just a little jealous.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Subway, now delivering to your front door.
Hey, but Chris, I gotta ask, did you ever get your pocket picked by a big man like that? Did that ever happen to you in a game? Can you remember? I have to admit, Chris, it did happen to me before. My boy Rasheed Wallace ripped me clean at midcourt and went down and dunked it, and he's never let me forget about it. And I always used to hate coming off the screens with bigs with great hands like that. But that's exactly what we're seeing with the Sunula right now, Anish. This big fella has done it twice, doing a great job of getting his hands on the basketball, especially with guards playing around with the basketball too much.
Asungela in his first half, 6 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. He's arguably been the MVP so far for Lipscomb.
He really has, and when you think about the season that Rob Marbury has had, even though he is a first-team All-ASUN member, he didn't play the way that he did a year ago. But you mentioned only 24 minutes a game for Marbury because Asungela has been that good. We talked about a first-team ASUN All-Rookie Team member, and he's done a great job here coming out in the biggest moment of the season and showing us why.
A turnover by Buckland at 2:38 to go, rather, here in this first half, with Corey Alexander and Ish Schroff at Allen Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, the home of the Lipscomb Bisons. Standing room only, as these Bisons fans hoping to see their team punch a ticket on their home floor to the NCAA Tournament. Lipscomb did it last year at Fort Myers, the home of Florida Gulf Coast. For Liberty, first season in the ASUN after 27 in the Big South. Liberty went 14-2 in league play, looking to get back to the dance for the first time since 2013.
And this Lipscomb team averages 84 points per game, which is 9th in Division I. So the fact that they have 28 points right now with a little over 2 minutes remaining, I would say this has to be a win right now in the first half for Richie McKay and the Flames. Although Coach McKay says that he doesn't feel like his team is defending the way they need to, the scoreboard tells a different story.
Lipscomb led by as many as 8 in this half. Liberty can tie with a 3. Flames an outstanding 3-point shooting team, but just 1 of 10 so far. Neither team has really shot it well from the outside so far. Pacheco-Ortiz down the lane. Scoop shot and a foul.
Hard fall there by James. Won't affect him any, but you see him going after the offensive rebound. We talk about he empties his tank between media timeouts.
Foul is on Cooper. James scored the first 7 points of the game for Liberty. He has not scored since. And Georgie Pacheco-Ortiz at the free throw line. An 87% free throw shooter. Champ Week rolls on later. 2 more women's title games on ESPN2. Maryland and Iowa in the Big Ten. And then at 8 p.m., Stanford and Oregon face off in the Pac-12 championship. Both games on ESPN2. 1-point game with 1:38 to go in the half. Here's Rose, who had a big game in the semis coming off the bench. Now Moran. Marbury, great position down low, too strong.
But great action from Lipscomb to get Marbury a point-blank shot, just unable to finish it. But you like that look if you're Casey Alexander, getting your best post player a touch on the inside, especially that close in when your team needs a bucket.
Liberty can take the lead. Less than 10 to shoot. They're comfortable late in the shot clock, like Virginia. Pacheco-Ortiz leaves it short. Rebound Rose. Matthews only one field goal in this first half. That's the ASUN's leading scorer, 24 in white. He's got it now. Against Cuffey. Back to Marbury down low against James. Marbury does not get the roll. Rebound Cuffey.
And James actually coming up with two great defensive stances on the last couple of possessions. Marbury getting the shots that he wants. But Liberty doing a great job of keeping those shots from going in. And now with an opportunity here to take the last shot and then lead into the halftime locker room.
Cabell against Cooper. Cabell down the lane, and Liberty with the lead as we go to halftime. Welcome back to ESPN's Champ Week presented by Principal. The Liberty Flames closed the first half on an 11-2 run, and Liberty with a 1-point lead as we begin the second half of this ASUN Championship in Ishrop. Corey Alexander, NCAA Tournament bid at stake today. We said it earlier, the two meetings in the regular season, the road team won both times, the road team winning at the half.
And this game actually eerily similar to the game on February 13th, where the Liberty Flames came into Allen Arena and got a win over Lipscomb because of their defense.
Tonight's performance above is brought to you by Jersey Mike's Subs.
And Rob Marbury got off to a great start on the interior. Then Asana Sundula picking the pocket and going down for the almost dunk. Gave Lipscomb great performances from their bigs on the inside. And speaking of bigs, Scottie James got off to a great start for Liberty. But it was LaBelle Cagle who gets the bucket at the end of the half to give Liberty the 1-point lead going into the halftime.
These were the four players we highlighted at the top of the broadcast. All conference first team selections. James had the 7 early. Marbury made his first 3 shots, then missed his last 3. Matthews and Homesley not factors offensively.
And really there haven't been many factors on the perimeter in this game. Kenny Cooper actually has 8 points for Lipscomb, but outside of that, the perimeter players haven't had much of a factor in this one. And Lipscomb gets off to a similar start as they did in the first half, getting the ball inside to Marbury, and he's able to finish for another easy bucket.
8 points for Marbury. He and Cooper lead the Bisons in scoring. Here's Scottie James. Now Caleb Homesley has that brace on that right knee. James on the inside, tipped into the air, snatched by Pepper. Homesley has suffered 2 torn ACLs in his career, missed his sophomore year with a torn right ACL as Cooper lays it in. He's got 10.
And we talked about the value that Kenny Cooper had in last year's ASUN championship game, and he's been just as valuable in this one, attacking the basket now in double figures, the first player in double figures in the game.
Cooper in the quarterfinal win against Kennesaw State had Lipscomb's second triple-double in the NCAA era. Cabell the teardrop. Lipscomb made the move from NAIA to NCAA in 1999. Reached the NCAA tournament for the first time last year, beating Florida Gulf Coast in the ASUN championship. Scored 108 points in that game. Cooper blocked by James, but we get a foul first.
Now actually going to get Marbury on the screen, but Cabell doing a great job attacking the basket, very similar to the last play of the first half. He gets the second half started off very well, and recognizing Marbury not staying with the screen, one with the floater on the interior for the bucket.
We see the full court man-to-man pressure from Lipscomb, trying to speed up Liberty. It's a clash of tempos. Skip pass, Cabell able to bring it down into the paint. 5 to shoot. Pacheco-Ortiz, more of an outside shooter. He's done his damage inside of the arc today. He's got 8.
Well, and we've talked so much about the bigs in this game, but we're really seeing a great point guard battle between Cooper and Pacheco-Ortiz. Both these guys really taking a lot of responsibility for their teams on their shoulders, making plays for themselves and their teammates.
Matthews for 3.
Impressed with the way Garrison Matthews has not forced his offense in this game. You're talking about a young man that averages over 20 points per game, over 21 in ASUN play, and right now only his 2nd field goal on the afternoon, but not hunting shots, continuing to play within the coach's system.
Good ball movement. Pacheco-Ortiz, a 48% three-point shooter. Liberty's largest lead today has been 2. Lipscomb led by as many as 8.
Right now, we've got entertaining basketball going on, a back-and-forth affair between these two teams. I wouldn't mind if we played the remaining 17 minutes like this.
Marbury against James. Boy, that's been a fun matchup to watch down low.
It really has. And Anish, one of the things when you talk about the pack line and Richie McKay and his ties coming along with Tony Bennett out of the Virginia program, one of the staples of that defense is the post trap. Right now, Richie McKay deciding they're not going to post trap against Marbury, allowing James to guard him one-on-one, but Marbury has probably gotten the better of that matchup.
Yeah, when we watch Virginia, the ball goes in the paint, we see 2 bigs converge.
And I know Liberty has that in their package, as Cuffey has the 3 ball in his package to give Liberty the 2-point lead once again.
And they're going to get a foul away from the ball on Scottie James, his first.
And James knew immediately that it was going to be on him, impeding the progress coming down the floor. But that's what it's called right now in the freedom of movement age. It used to be doing your work early. But the game has changed, and of course the players have to adjust.
A couple of threes early in this second half for Liberty. They have not shot it well from distance in the 2 games against Lipscomb, but 3 of the top 4 three-point shooters in the ASUN play for the Flames. There's Marbury. Dips inside for 2. He's got a dozen.
And a great design right there by Coach Alexander to get Garrison Matthews in the post, because when Matthews catches, you see the double team. And so right now you see the Flames aren't going to double team Marbury. They're going to allow James to guard him one-on-one, but when Garrison Matthews catches it, he's attracting the double team.
Pavel Cabell beats Cooper. 41-39. Back into 4th we go. Moran looking for help. Garrison Matthews, ASUN Player of the Year, fading away. True.
Now, there's no play for that. And there's also no defense for that. That's just basically saying, I trust my offense more than I fear your defense. Cabell does a great job cutting him off, but no way to guard that turnaround.
Cabell. And the rebound to Garrison Matthews. Matthews charging down the lane. And they get an offensive foul on the senior from Franklin, Tennessee.
Well, Garrison Matthews has some football in his background, and you can tell he does not mind the physical nature of the game. With a full head of steam, you see Matthews taking Cuppy to the ground, picking up the charge, but Matthews has done it, facilitating on offensive end, and of course also taking matters into his own hand. The beautiful turnaround for Garrison Matthews, ASUN Player of the Year.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lilly Diabetes.
Time now for tonight's Need to Know, brought to you by Principal. The resume speaks in the imperative for Garrison Matthews, ASUN Player of the Year. Did not have many offers out of high school because he was a football player. He's become a better player in college, having devoted himself full-time now to basketball.
Well, we've seen that with a number of guys. You mentioned Kai Bowman at Boston College, of course. Most likely will be an NBA first-round pick this season after his junior year, but committed to North Carolina to play football. So when you put the time in, you can often receive the awards, and both these guys have done it.
And one, Elijah Cuffey. Both teams have come out on fire here in the second half. Liberty 6 of 8 from the field. Lipscomb 6 of 6.
I can tell you right now, a beautiful pass by Keegan Gums right on the back door, and that's by design. Great call from Richie McKay out of the timeout. But the celebration from Gums may have been even more exciting than the pass.
Keegan Gums, a graduate transfer from Division III Shriner. That's in Kerrville, Texas. He was the SCAC Player of the Year, 21 points a game last year. And coaches sometimes aren't sure what they're going to get when a guy transfers from D3. He's been a pleasant surprise. That's Johnny Manziel's hometown, by the way, Kerrville.
Well, I can tell you right now, you can only imagine how badly he would love to get to the NCAA tournament. And Gums stepping up, making a beautiful pass in this game. We've seen him actually knock down a 3 also. So when you look at Gums' production thus far, he's definitely helped his team to this point in the game, and part of the reason why Liberty has a 3-point lead.
ASUN Asudula into the game. He had a big first half, 6 points, 7 rebounds. You know, we're going to foul on Gums, his third.
And I know that Coach Alexander doesn't really run many sets for Garrison Matthews, but I really like the action that they had earlier when they ran him to the post, because you can see now that Liberty's going to double team, and what that's going to do is open up his teammates. They got a layup for Bob Marbury on the previous possession, but now with shooters on the floor, that may be the route to go offensively.
And we've seen in the past, Matthews is a good enough all-around player. Got to be a facilitator if he needs to be.
Oh, he'll definitely do that. He understands, of course, with his ability to score, he's going to garner a lot of attention from opposing defenses.
Mayo Baxter Bell, a little too strong. Here comes Cooper. Now Nathan Moran. Entry pass. Asudula. Asudula using his size. The big guy's got some moves.
I can tell you right now, we have seen some great post play in this game. The big man that can put his back to the basket and go score is not a dinosaur in this game right now. And I love the fact that these coaches are playing through these bigs, allowing them opportunities to operate on the block.
Homesley. He's just 1 of 5 today. Rose was calling for it in the corner. Now it's Matthews against Cuffey. And Garrison Matthews able to draw the foul.
It took a while to get the basketball inside to Asudula, but when he got it, he was well prepared. The nice spin move, a little bit of a chicken wing on that play. Baxter Bell looking for the call, not getting it, but Asudula getting the deuce.
Matthews 6 points in the second half, only had 4 and did just 1 field goal in the first half.
Well, you knew going into halftime for Garrison Matthews, he knows this is his last opportunity to play on this floor, to play in front of these fans, and he's going to make the best of it.
Substitutions for Lipscomb. Buckland in, along with Wolf, the freshman, and Pepper.
And you see again the full court pressure from Lipscomb, just trying to speed up Liberty. They don't want Liberty to be able to control the pace of this game. And they've been able to actually pick it up quite a bit here in the second half, gotten off to a much better scoring start than what we saw in the first half.
Scottie James has not scored since scoring the Flames' first 7. And instead he finds Homesley, and Liberty hoping that can unlock their top scorer in conference play. Cabell the steal, dumps it off. James too strong. Cabell the rebound. Pacheco-Ortiz shot fake. Cabell left it way short, and a whistle down low. We're going to get a foul against Lipscomb. It's on Eli Pepper. That's his second.
And Liberty playing behind their big fella, Scottie James, getting it done in the paint. Nice ball handling and finding Homesley, who's able to finish with the easy layup.
Scottie James began his career at Bradley, Liberty's leading scorer and rebounder, and 3 teams have now punched their ticket. Murray State knocking off Belmont last night. Big South champion Gardner-Webb dancing for the first time in school history.
And Gardner-Webb knocking off the #1 seed in Campbell, and then going into Radford, knocking off the Highlanders. So congrats to Gardner-Webb for punching that ticket. And Homesley trying to punch the ticket for the Liberty Flames, who got knocked out a year ago by the Radford Highlanders on the last-second shot. So trying to avenge a number of demons are the Flames in this game.
Asajala turns it over. Liberty with its largest lead of the game.
And Homesley, of course, relocating, shooting the basketball off the move. One of the things that is very important to Richie McKay in his development, as he worked with a couple players at Virginia who turned out to be pretty good at doing that. One of them by the name of Joe Harris, who just won the NBA three-point shooting contest, and another who was an NBA Rookie of the Year a couple seasons ago, Malcolm Brogdon. Richie McKay had a tremendous hand in the development of both those players, as well as the guards, throughout his 6-year tenure at the University of Virginia.
Outstanding defense by Buckland to tie up James and force the jump ball, but the possession arrow belongs to Liberty.
And everyone in the building knows the glue guy for this Lipscomb Bison's team is Michael Buckland, and you see Buckland getting over there, making another one of those winning plays and taking away an easy bucket from Scottie James.
McGee from the outside, Pepper the rebound. McGee's had some big games in non-conference, 19 against Georgetown, 15 against Vandy. Matthews rattles it in. 1-point game. Now the Stars are starting to heat up, Corey.
Well, we knew we would see it from Garrison Matthews in the second half. A subpar first half for him, but he has been special in the second stanza so far.
Homesley will try to answer. And the rebound by Buckland. Cooper. 51-48. 50-49, excuse me. Homesley against Matthews, the pick from James, into the corner. And that three is good by Cabell, a 44% three-point shooter to give Liberty the lead again.
Anish, the three by Cabell was nice, but that pass from Homesley was impressive. Lipscomb getting back into the game. Garrison Matthews knocking down the three off the bounce. And where Matthews has been a scorer, he's been a facilitator as well in this game. But for speaking of facilitating, Caleb Homesley with a dime to the corner.
It's the ASUN Championship. Lipscomb and Liberty, a 2-point game winner to the NCAA Tournament. And this league has been historically a one-bid league. Now, for Liberty to go dancing, they have to win this game. Lipscomb, if they lose, would have maybe an outside shot, but talking to Casey Alexander, the head coach today, he does not want to leave it to chance. History would be against the Bisons. Can they get an at-large? Maybe, but a loss today would hurt them. It would be a loss that would bring down their numbers. So their best bet, it's simply put, win today.
Well, of course, you know, that's definitely going to be their best bet. But you look at the quality wins at SMU, at TCU, when TCU was ranked 18th in the country, and then the win over Vermont. But the one thing that Casey Alexander points to is the loss at Florida Gulf Coast. That may be the loss that hurts them, and that's the one that actually got them in a regular season tie with Liberty in comparison to being able to win outright.
Entry pass denied by James, 7 to shoot. Now, this is a Lipscomb team that if they get in, normally the ASUN champion, 15, 16 seed, they're going to be much higher. They might be a 13, maybe even as high as a 12. As Buckland hits the 3. And with all they return, they profile as a team that can upset a team, maybe even 2.
Well, and especially if you put them in that 12, in that 12 range, you're talking a 5-12 where you're always going to pick an upset anyway. A team that shoots the ball as well as Lipscomb does, they would be a hot pick for many people filling out those brackets to be able to come away with a win in the NCAA tournament.
Pacheco-Ortiz, the junior from Puerto Rico, gives Liberty the lead back, 54-53. We come up on 8 minutes to play.
You know, Nish, I said earlier that I wouldn't mind if this game went back and forth, swapping the lead for the remaining 17 minutes. And we've had that for the past 10 minutes of this game. And neither one of these teams willing to give an inch. Pacheco-Ortiz playing with so much poise and calm under pressure, even with the strong closeout, gets to the mid-range, doesn't try to get too close to the basket. And with the pull-up, the mid-range game is not dead, Anish. I don't care what you analytics people say.
That's usually a shooter, and that went off the hands of Marbury. Pacheco-Ortiz, 13 points to lead Liberty. In the 2 regular season meetings against Lipscomb, he was 0 for 7 from the field. Liberty by 1 in the ASUN Championship. With Corey Alexander, Anish Schropp, Caleb Homesley, and Garrison Matthews, 2 of the stars, have found their touch in the second half.
And both these guys have been scoring, but also making plays for their teammates. But they're first-team All-ASUN members and ASUN Player of the Year because they get buckets. Garrison Matthews stepping it up in the second half, trying to get his team back to the NCAA tournament.
An attendance record at Allen Arena, 5,687. The most fans to attend a basketball game here since the arena opened in 2001. And that crowd, 600 more than capacity, standing room only for what is the biggest home game for the Lipscomb Bisons in this arena.
And this arena has gotten very loud. It's been rocking, but it's also been quiet because the Liberty Flames have come out with a response. Every time Lipscomb makes a run, Liberty has had an answer in this game.
1-point lead for Liberty. Shot clock running down. Cabell blocked by Marbury.
And Lipscomb has numbers they've got to recognize.
Matthews to the 10. And he'll shoot 2.
And Rob Marbury coming up with a huge play on the defensive end of the floor. Cabell going to the rim. Marbury coming up with the big block, and then Cabell goes down into the cameras. Took Lipscomb a little while to recognize that they had a 5-on-4 situation, but when you get the ball in the hands of Garrison Matthews, he knows how to take care of business.
Matthews last year, 33 points, 7 threes in the ASUN championship win against Florida Gulf Coast. He has not missed from the field in the second half today. Lipscomb up by 1 as we come up on 7 minutes to play. Winner to the NCAA tournament.
And I like what Richie McKay is doing, knowing that the full court pressure is coming. They're going to get the basketball out of their point guard's hands and allow Garrison Matthews and Buckland and the others, make them have to apply the full court pressure. And you saw Cuffey go right by Matthews on that last possession. And of course, find Scottie James on the interior. And give Cuffey a tremendous amount of credit for being able to handle the basketball against the pressure and then get into the right position to feed James over the top. No help, allowing Scottie James to come up with another easy bucket.
James' first field goal since scoring the first 7 points of the game for Liberty. Flames by 1. First season in the ASUN for Liberty after 27 in the Big South. Last time the Flames went dancing, 2013. There's James through the traffic.
But you have so many playmakers for the Flames. When you look at it, of course, James, a big-time scorer. But you have Cuffey, you have Homesley, you have Cabell, and, of course, Pacheco-Ortiz. All these guys are able to make plays, which is part of the reason why Richie McKay can run the offensive sets that he's able to run. And you see Homesley with a 7th assist in this game, finding James right around the basket. Part of the reason why, you know, we talk about Liberty and how great they are defensively. They're ranked in the top 3 in the ASUN in 10 different offensive categories. This is a very good offensive team, too, not just about the defense.
Elijah Cuffey just picked up his 4th foul. He heads to the bench. 3 for Matthews, no good. And Liberty now with a chance to extend a 3-point lead. Flames have led by as many as 4. That's been their largest lead. Lipscomb led by as many as 8 in the first half.
But every time that Lipscomb has found a way to make a run in this game, there has been a tremendous response by the Liberty Flames. Part of the reason why they lead by 3 right now and trying to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013.
Liberty, a school record, 27 wins. Homesley, in and out.
You know, Nishan, that 27-win record is huge, but one that may be even more important, especially for this game, is the fact that they have 10 true road wins this season, including going to UCLA and knocking off the Bruins, beating the Bruins by 15 at Pauley Pavilion. So this is a very good road team trying to come up with a win here on the road. Marbury bullying his way down low. It's a 1-point game. And speaking of very good, Lipscomb a very good home team. So definitely a clash between these two. And for the ASUN, you couldn't have asked for more than what we've gotten here in this championship game. Now right here, I like what Homesley's doing. Pepper guarding him is a mismatch. I call my number on that play.
Cabell on the kick.
All created by the fact that Homesley knew he had a mismatch with Pepper guarding him on the perimeter, forcing Lipscomb to help.
Matthews spinning inside. Tipped by Marbury, not there. It comes to McGee, and James is down underneath the basket, holding his mouth.
Caleb Homesley recognizing he's got a one-on-one mismatch versus Eli Pepper on the perimeter, and recognizes where the help's coming from. The beautiful feed to Cabell, who's able to knock down the 3, extending the Liberty lead to 4. And then you see Marbury going over the top, but that right elbow catching James in the mouth. Hard fall from James there, but as tough as this guy is, no way he's coming out of this game.
Now the officials are going to huddle. There was no foul originally called on the play.
Well, for Richie McKay to be able to receive a monitor review, he has to be willing to take a timeout on that play and ask, as Coach McKay is outside of the coaching box, and he's not happy about the fact that his guy got hit in the mouth. I mean, that's why Coach McKay is upset.
He's got to be careful, though. You don't want to pick up a technical and give the momentum back to Lipscomb. And a nice job by the officiating crew to get in there.
Well, honestly, I feel like there may have been words exchanged between he and Coach Alexander on the sideline, because Coach McKay is basically just coming to the officials asking why are they not reviewing this play. Because, of course, if there is contact above the shoulders, and there does seem to be contact on that play, you see the elbow from Marbury, and when he extends it, that is the reason why Coach McKay wanted that play. He knows how tough Scottie James is. If Scottie James goes down like that, he wants to make sure that it's reviewed.
Well, they looked at it, and Corey, the non-call stands. Richie McKay requested the review for a flagrant foul, as you said, charged a 30-second timeout. No foul on the play even after the review. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with it, because I do think it was a basketball play. Marbury was in midair. I don't think there was anything flagrant on it, but I like the fact that Richie McKay goes to bat for his team and his players, and you will see them reward their coach with an inspired performance after that, knowing that he has their back.
Buckland picks up Cabell. And an offensive foul on Scottie James.
Pacheco-Ortiz gathering his team right now, telling them to calm down, make sure they stay poised. And it's important to get a defensive stop on this possession as this crowd starts to get back involved. We've talked about how Liberty has had this response for everything. Now we'll see if Lipscomb can have a response for Liberty's run.
Cooper, 61-59. Pepper tried to knock it away from Homesley, and he gets called for his third foul. This is the madness we crave here in Nashville, Music City. We're going to come down to the end. Liberty and Lipscomb, a 2-point game.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Wendy's $5 Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal.
Rising action here in Nashville, the site of the Atlantic Sun Championship. Lipscomb and Liberty, 2 points separates the two. Third meeting of the season. The road team has won each time. Lipscomb, the home team today. Liberty, the road team. 61-59, 3:58 to go. Lipscomb won the conference championship a season ago, looking to go dancing once again. Liberty, first year in the ASUN, trying to get the league's automatic qualifier.
And right now, Richie McKay going to keep the basketball in the hands of Cabell or Homesley, because they feel as though these two guys have a mismatch over the defenders.
And that's Homesley drawing the foul on Pepper, and that is 4 on Eli Pepper.
And Richie McKay has done a great job out of timeouts getting the action that they want, recognizing there's no way Pepper's going to be able to guard Homesley on the perimeter. And you see an awkward step there as Homesley rolls that right ankle. Stayed down for a second afterwards. Is up, going to the free throw line, but you can see him turn that right ankle going to the basket on that possession.
You can see the brace on his right knee Tore his ACL a couple of seasons ago. Tore his left ACL as a high school senior. Got his sea legs back last year, and then this year he's blossomed into one of the best players in the league.
But a great moment right there. Love it, the fact that Homesley makes the free throw as he walks up to dap up Scottie James. Eli Pepper comes over and daps him up as well, makes sure he's okay. Pepper wants to win this game, but he wants to win it with Homesley on the floor.
A two-possession game, 3:44 to go in regulation.
And Niche, look at the numbers for Homesley. 9.6 rebounds and 8 assists. A possible triple-double, not that we haven't seen one already.
Mr. Matthews, another three, and it's a one-point game.
This game can't happen without Garrison Matthews having his fingerprints all over.
Garrison Matthews, the ASUN Player of the Year, 15 of his 19. In the second half, he has pulled Lipscomb to within one, 3:29 to go. The Bisons have 2 timeouts. Liberty has 1.
Homesley a little gimpy on that ankle, but back into the game. Checked out for a second before the timeout. But as important as he is to this team, Richie McKay getting him back on the floor.
5 to shoot. Cabell. Pacheco-Ortiz lost the handle. Has to get rid of it. Beats the shot clock. James fighting for the rebound. It comes to Matthews. The freshman Wolf lobs it inside to Marbury. Backing down James. Marbury gets to the left hand. Lipscomb with the lead. Pacheco-Ortiz. Rebound James. It's good. No foul. Liberty up 65-64. Now Buckland runs into James. And Scottie James is steamed.
Now, I do believe the officials are going to go review this. Marbury running back. Apparently there was contact between Marbury running back down the floor and James. Originally, I didn't think there was contact. But then there was actually a second player that hit James coming by.
This could be a game-changing call. Let's watch.
You see James getting the putback and is able to finish. So he looks for the call. There is no call, but you see Marbury run by. Now, James sold it. I will admit that he did sell it, but there was a flagrant elbow to James' face from Marbury on that possession. James taking exception to it. And you see Marbury reaching down. I would not be surprised if Marbury's not ejected from this game.
I thought it was Buckland who was in front of us cutting across Scottie James, but Marbury got there first. And Corey, I have to agree with you.
And at this juncture of this game, Liberty with a 1-point lead, it would at least be a flagrant one. And remember that these 2 players were involved in the possession earlier where Richie McKay took the timeout to ask the officials to go and review the monitor. That was not a necessary, that was not a basketball play. It was unnecessary. It's interesting to see whether that will be a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2 ejection of this game for Marbury. It will definitely be one of the two. There's no way they come away from this without seeing some type of penalty.
This officiating crew has done a terrific job managing this game this afternoon. There have been tensions. At times those tensions have boiled. They've kept it under check for the most part. We got the explanation. The officials are not going to call anything. They told us they felt the contact was, in their words, embellished by Scottie James. Corey, you're looking at me. You don't agree.
If there was contact, I don't care if it's embellished or not. If there was contact
above the shoulders,
it was flagrant.
I agree.
And so therefore, and I told you on the play, Scottie James did sell it. He jumped in the air and he sold it. But there's no way you come away from that with there being nothing.
So instead, a 1-point lead for Liberty. 2 minutes coming up. Cooper devoured, and we get a foul. Offensive foul on Kenny Cooper.
And Kenny Cooper trying to get to the rim. He's done a great job of doing that early in this game. But give Pacheco-Ortiz a lot of credit for stepping in and taking that charge.
Corey, what should have been the call?
If you come away from that and you don't feel as though there was enough contact and it was embellished, then you call a flagrant 1. Because it's no way you can say that there's nothing there when Marbury goes out of his way to elbow Scottie James.
We've seen many plays this season that did not meet that degree of severity that were called flagrant ones. Either way, 1-point game as we come up on 2 to play. Liberty looking to extend its advantage. A trip to the NCAA Tournament on the line. Winner gets the automatic bid from the ASUN. The ball has been in Homesley's hand. Good things have happened in the second half. Scottie James lost it. Last touch, Lipscomb 4 on the shot clock.
And Casey Alexander going with the Sunderland to be able to guard Scottie James at the end of this game. And tipping the basketball away, the back tap, saving a basket.
2 on the clock. Cabell hits the front rim. Here's Matthews. Cannot finish, but draws the foul, and Garrison Matthews with a chance to give Lipscomb the lead at the foul line. Homesley's third.
Garrison Matthews taking matters into his own hands, going in, absorbing the contact, and getting the shot on the glass, which will get him to the free throw line. Homesley trying to avoid the foul and stay out of harm's way on that one, but Matthews able to get the call.
Matthews, an 85% free throw shooter, gets the first. Now this for the lead. Lipscomb by 1. Out of bounds. It will stay with Liberty. Last touch, Lipscomb.
Great job defensively by Lipscomb, putting the pressure. And that basketball did go off of James's hand last. Under 2 minutes, the officials can review it. And most likely when they come away from this review, the basketball will go back to Lipscomb. Give Asujalo tremendous credit for getting up there. You're talking about a big guy getting up and coming up with that deflection. And from that angle, it didn't look as much as though James touched it. It seems as though the ball does change directions after it comes off his hand. From this angle, it looks that finger does get on the basketball, change directions when it comes off of James's hand.
The question, Corey, is how conclusive is it to overturn the original call, which was last touch Lipscomb Liberty ball?
Well, from that angle, I don't believe it is, but from the last angle that we showed, you see the basketball change directions. Even better angle there to be able to see that that does go off of James's hand last. And right there, as we see the basketball change directions off of that pinky finger on the right hand of Scottie James, the basketball, I believe that's more than conclusive enough to return the basketball back to Lipscomb. Doing a great job. Casey Alexander told us about the full court pressure, and they've been applying it all game long. And Liberty's handled the basketball very well against it, but right now giving him a difficult time throwing the ball in.
Liberty only has one turnover in the second half. Meanwhile, ASUN Asudjula has been one of the unsung heroes today for Lipscomb in the first half. Great energy off the bench, had 7 rebounds at the break, a couple of steals. And that's a play. Again, he doesn't really get credited with anything there. That would go as a turnover if the play is overturned, but it's his effort that leads to it.
Well, coaches chart deflections, and he'll get a deflection for this one that ends up becoming a turnover. But again, the basketball, once it gets to Scottie James's hands, with the great angle zooming in, you'll see that pinky finger move. And when that pinky finger moves, that is what touches the basketball last. And the ball changes its rotation, goes out of bounds. And the basketball goes back to Lipscomb.
In case you couldn't tell by the crowd reaction, the call was reversed. Buckland will inbound, 90 seconds to go in the second half. Lipscomb by 1. Garrison Matthews has had a huge second half. Turns it over. And now Liberty can take the lead. James over Marbury. Liberty by 1. Matthews baseline. Marbury. It spins out. Knocked out of bounds. It stays with Lipscomb.
And I believe we could have a review on this one as well. And the Liberty Flames taking the basketball inside. Scottie James continues to deliver, and a great pass from Cabell to find him over the top, the reverse layup for James. And then underneath, out of bounds, another review to see who gets the basketball back on this play. Both players with a hand on it. And this one will be interesting to see what the call on the floor was, because just from that angle alone, it's going to be difficult to tell whose hand was on that basketball last.
Scottie James wishes he had maybe trimmed those fingernails today. Boy.
You see James gets a lot of hand on the basketball, but Marbury in the mix as well. And the basketball will stay with Lipscomb. And again, I don't think there was enough evidence either way on that one to see who touched the basketball last. Lipscomb will retain possession with a fresh 30-second shot clock.
With Corey Alexander and Ace Schroff, Liberty a season ago lost in the Big South championship game on a buzzer beater to Radford. Down 1, Marbury against James. And the rebound to Pacheco-Ortiz. About a 7-second differential between game clock and shot clock.
And I'm not sure if I'm Lipscomb, I'm going to play this out defensively, not giving yourself much time at all.
Liberty has one timeout, and they will use it. We'll take a 30-second breather down to the wire in the ASUN. Put it in Homesley's hand here, right? Got to. Yeah. What does he have? 9, 8, and 6. We still have some unfinished business in Nashville. Allen Arena, the site for this ASUN championship. A trip to the NCAA Tournament on the line. Liberty has to win to have any chance of getting to the dance. Lipscomb maybe an outside shot as an at-large, but the reality is the ASUN has been a one-bid league, and the final 21 seconds of regulation could decide who heads to the NCAA Tournament. Lipscomb, the defending conference champions. They represented the ASUN in the dance a season ago. Liberty has the ball, 14 to shoot, 21 on the game clock. They are out of timeouts. Risky pass, James corrals. Cabell thought about it. Pacheco-Ortiz for the lead. Cooper, Marbury, and one!
Denise, the reason why I wasn't sure if Lipscomb should play it out defensively is because if Liberty makes a three, it's a 4-possession game. But fortunately for Lipscomb, Marbury able to finish, and the opportunity for the and one to make it a 1-point game. Once again, 9.4 seconds. But now you have to be able to either come up with a turnover off your four-court pressure or foul early, trying to extend the game regardless.
Free throw is no good. James the rebound, and he will go to the free throw line as Liberty clings to a 2-point lead.
The best case scenario for Liberty, worst case scenario for Lipscomb. You play it out, 14 seconds remaining on the shot clock, and you give up a three to the ASUN's best percentage three-point shooter off of a broken play. Pacheco-Ortiz knocks down the three, and now Scottie James at the free throw line with an opportunity to make this a 2-possession game for the Flames here on Lipscomb's home court.
James, a 71% free throw shooter. 1 for 1 today. It's the front end of a 1-and-1, and now a chance to make it a 2-possession game. Pacheco-Ortiz, a huge three. Marbury came back, could not get the three-point play, however. Both free throws good.
And right now, Liberty needs to recognize who's out of the game. Scottie James is celebrating with his team. Didn't realize he was the guy getting checked out.
What does Lipscomb have to do here?
Well, right now, you just got to race it down the floor and get a score as fast as you can. You would love to have a three, but with no timeouts, it makes it difficult.
Matthews falling away. It's not there. The rebound by Liberty.
And right now, 1 second remaining on the clock.
The Flames, Corey, on the road.
A foul on the rebound sends Liberty to the free throw line. And right now, 1 second remaining in this game. Nothing Lipscomb can do at this point. The Liberty Flames, after Richie McKay takes over the program 4 years ago and lose their first 13 Division I games, are headed to the dance.
The Liberty Flames will carry the torch for the ASUN in the NCAA Tournament. 27 seasons in the Big South, year one in the ASUN, and they're about to be conference champions. While Lipscomb may be an outside shot at getting an at-large, but those hopes dwindle. Liberty, put your dancing shoes on. These teams played 3 times this season. The road team won all 3 meetings. Liberty with 2 wins in Nashville at Allen Arena. And for the first time since 2013, the Liberty Flames will head to the NCAA Tournament. Lipscomb will hear its fate decided on Selection Sunday.
Anish, the ASUN championship game never disappoints. One of my favorite places to be at this time of year, and this game lived up to the billing.
Our final score from Allen Arena: Liberty 74, Lipscomb 68. The Flames to the NCAA Tournament. They are your ASUN champions.